with food insecurity, or the idea that you don't know where your next meal is coming from. And this is different than whenever you don't know what you're going to have to eat later today. This is you don't have money or access to food to eat, so you don't know when you're going to eat again. Sometimes they'll refer to it as hunger, which is funny to me because we all feel hunger, but they're specifically referring to food insecurity or the lack of access to food. One of the reasons this is such an issue is because with our food budget, that's one of the things in our budget that we can pull back from. We're like, oh, well, we already got our car payment. We already got our rent. We already got our phone bill. We already got Netflix. What can we pull back on? Oh, well, I guess we're eating ramen this month. As a result of being one of the things that is not firm, that you have to give yourself $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 for your food budget. Just saying. But there's a big difference between want and needs. And food is one of those things that is at the end of our budget line with a conversation, well, we'll just see how much we have left. But do you need shoes? Do you need that new car that has the payments? Do you need those drinks in the morning on your way to school? So you save a little money on food, or maybe as you view it, you don't have money to spend on food, and you just buy cheaper stuff. Now let's do a quick quiz. This is how they are going to determine if somebody is food insecure or not. So I'll go through the questions, and then you can answer them however you would like. I mean, don't post this in the comments. The first one is, the food that I or we bought just didn't last and we didn't have money to get more. Is that sometimes, often, or never true? Next, we couldn't afford to eat balanced meals. Was that often, sometimes, or never true? And that's different than actually eating balanced meals. It is you cannot afford to eat balanced meals. If that does happen, how often does it happen? Is it every month? Some months? Not every month? 1 or 2 months out of a year? Next, in the last 12 months, did you ever eat less than you felt you should because there wasn't enough food or money? Next, in the last 12 months, were you hungry but didn't eat because there wasn't enough money for food? So those were 6 questions. If you had a 1 or a 0, then you're pretty food secure. You're good. If you answered 2 to 4 in the affirmative, then you would be considered low food security. And then if you answered 5 to 6 in the affirmative, that would mean very low food security. I'm just going to say this. If you are experiencing low or very low food security, there are resources available to assist with ensuring that you have enough food. So whether that's a government agency, whether it's like SNAP or WIC, whether it's a community food pantry or a church, there are places where you can go to get food. So please don't let pride get in the way of your accessing food. Now that we've discussed what it is and how we would know if someone is, let's cover some of the reasons why it happens. It could be related to minimum wage or access to income. It could be related to family size. It could be related to location, meaning where you live, if you have access to transportation, if there's a grocery store near you, or it could be related to your perception of what it is that would constitute a healthy meal. So first, the transportation part. Transportation is a huge part of access. If you're taking the bus, you're not carrying 2 watermelons home with you to make sure that you're getting your serving of fruits, especially not if you're chasing kids. But then the other part of the perception, right? I may be too poor to eat only organic, non-GMO, grass-fed beef, locally sourced, etc., etc., etc. But I have money to buy food, right? So you have to evaluate what your perception is too. Now, in terms of having money and not using it, I know that this is not always the case, but you could evaluate the ways that you use your money, aka using a budget, by a grocery list, using recipes, limiting eating out, plan your meals, and avoid empty calories, whether that is soda, whether that is coffee. And yes, this goes for college students too, including alcohol. But what makes this conversation difficult is the idea that if you are low income or if you are food insecure, then oftentimes you're not thinking about going on vacation. You're not going to Disney. You're not scheduling your next flight to Cancun. You're not going to Europe over the summer. So what's important to you is food and family and friends and the environment that you're in at that time. And so if you show up to a dinner, that nasty green bean casserole dish, when everybody else has like lobster or steak or even chips, then that's going to reflect on something. And this is an example as to why food is more than just food.